First of all, maybe tell us a little bit about who are you and yeah, go on.
Uh, you know, I'm Mike, and I've been a real estate investor guy here in the United States for many years, and semi-retired at this point. But not completely. I still work, do a few projects here and there, and but I think I got connected with you maybe what's it been 2 years?
Yeah,
Probably
fucking
about
hell.
2 years ago.
Time flies. Yeah,
It
and tell
does.
me a little bit, how did that come about? What was your situation before, and what was your experience with it?
For me, I was in a situation where I'd been working a lot, for many years and working, 60, 70 hours a week, very focused on my business. And as I was coming up to the tail end of selling my business, I found myself in a situation where I was like, well, maybe it's time to pivot and, start looking, more for a life partner than just somebody to go out and date, um, or just have, casual relationships, with different women. I was looking more for like a long-term life partner. And, I'd been so focused on my business that I hadn't given that the attention that it needs, but being in business and being in the real estate business especially, I understood the value of coaching and what that's worth. And I know, for me, I over the course of my career, over the past say 20 years, totaled this up recently. I think I spent $365,000 on coaching for various, different things. Maybe a $5,000 coach to teach me a very specific skill, and then maybe an ongoing $500 a month type coaching program for something else. So I very much understand the value of coaching, and I understand that the thing with coaching is that it allows you, if you get somebody who's good and knows what they're doing, there's a lot of fake gurus out there, as we both know. But if you get
Maybe,
somebody,
sorry, maybe to interrupt you, because from your perspective, how do you differentiate between somebody who's fake and somebody who's legit? Because you said you've gone through a lot, so I'm sure you made some bad experiences in the past as well. So if you look at somebody, what are some things you look at to differentiate whether somebody is fake or whether somebody's real?
well, for me, you don't always know. I mean, quite frankly, you don't always know. But, one of the things you could do is you can kind of look at social media and you can see, first off, the very first thing that I do is I just see if there's a vibe. Do I vibe with the person? Because they could be the best coach in the world, but if I think they're a dickhead or it's just the type of person that I can't get along with or I wouldn't vibe with, then I don't use that person. I also have a thing where I don't coach with friends and even acquaintances. If somebody's like in my outer orbit, uh, and I don't want to say it's a 100% thing, but 99.5% of the time, I will not coach with people I know. Because I want somebody who's going to give me kind of a fresh perspective, is not in my circle of friends, is not in my, orbit, so to speak, and give me a fresh perspective more than anything. Because otherwise we just get caught in these echo chambers, and you're just hearing the same thing from the same people, and you're not pulling new information in. So I look for attitude. I look for the way the person carries themselves. And then a lot of it's just a gut feeling. Does the person seem legit? You can do your background research, but we all know that people can buy, spreads in Forbes magazine, or they can buy a fake trophy or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a lot of it is just a vibe. Do I vibe with the person? Do they have some history? Obviously, do they have notable achievements in the area that they're coaching you in? If I want to get into politics and I need somebody to help me start a campaign, I'm not going to go and find a 22-year-old guy who's never worked in a campaign before. But if I've got a guy who has worked on presidential campaigns and has documented achievements in that industry, then I'm going to hire that guy. And so, so that's all part of it. As you look at all those aspects, and I think you can get, you try to get a 360-degree view. You don't always get that. But then, and part of it too is price. Okay. I think that, you know, and I hate to say this, but if they don't charge enough money, then they really don't value themselves, right?
Mhm.
And so I think it's important that if you're paying for coaching, that you're actually paying a premium. And guys that are really good at what they do charge a lot of money. I mean, you're not going to go and hire a Tony Robbins, for $50 an hour to get on the phone with you and coach you, right? So, what is it worth, And if you can leapfrog over many years of trial and error on your own, then really that's invaluable, in my opinion.
Awesome. No, no, extremely valuable. I agree with a lot of that because you can see a lot of, and I'm not in the business of talking bad about anybody by name, but you see a lot of people who are putting up, especially on Instagram, who are putting up something that isn't really legit. So I think a lot of what you're doing is there's the head and the heart, right? We want to logically engage and do our research and like, okay, these are the facts. And then also is this, what does my gut feeling tell me at the end of the day, right?
Right.
So awesome. What in the end made you decide to go with me, and how was that process for you?
Well, first off, I like that you're, kind of international. You're not like based in the United States. And I think you got a great social media presence and you carry yourself really well on camera. And I watched some of your videos, and I checked out other guys and stuff that, are in that, your competitors, so to speak. And, but I thought that you were very direct about how you do it. You seem methodical. And the other thing is you're not a low IQ guy. Some of these guys that do it sway into the like pickup artist thing, where they get a little douchey and, they're not as high IQ. I mean, you're a high IQ guy, and so you can pick up on that. And and I thought that what you delivered was beyond what I paid, obviously, because the results that I've had have been tremendous.
Thank you. So, what was the result? Tell us.
So the result for me was, obviously some of this, I did in conjunction with working with you, but you know, the main thing I did was I started focusing more on myself. I've always had a really great group of guy friends, so I had like kind of that piece of it done. I am a social guy, and and I have a lot of friends. Um, but I hadn't really worked on myself, losing weight, getting a decent, haircut, getting a decent, beard trim, and, just looking presentable. And sure, if you look like a 10 out of 10 all the time, that helps. But I'm not that guy and I know that. But I improved my appearance. I hired a personal trainer to work with me in the gym. And in conjunction with that, I hired you at the same time. So, it was a multifaceted approach for me. And I'm not saying, because there's other guys out there like, I'm a wealthy guy, but there's other guys out there that maybe aren't as wealthy, but they got six pack abs. So we're all, better or worse in different areas. Nobody's completely linear across the entire skill stack. Right. So, but for me, I wanted to leapfrog over many years of trial and error in talking with women, how to approach women, how to handle yourself when you're in an environment where there's a lot of women there. What are kind of some of the, I don't know, the shortcuts of getting you from point A to point B, in a classy way, not in a douchey way. I mean, I always love those MTV shows with Mystery, the original pickup artist. But I mean, I would never hire that guy because that's not me, right? I'm not going to put a fur hat on and, crow's, feet on my necklace and shit like that.
Different strokes for different folks, you know?
Right. Yeah, everybody's got a different approach, but your approach worked for me. And the skills, most importantly, the skills that you taught me helped me leapfrog, probably a couple of years ahead in trial and error. And the ultimate result for me was I met an amazing, amazing woman, um, very traditional woman. That's what I was looking for. I definitely lean on the conservative side of the political spectrum. And so I was looking in California to find a beautiful woman who's conservative is not an easy feat. But, I wanted to find somebody who was younger, conservative, very, very intelligent, wholesome, and traditional. not one of these gals that's on, Call Her Daddy, that's been run through by, 50 guys last weekend kind of thing. So, that's what I was looking for. And I found that.
Awesome. Amazing. And what were a couple of things about the process? Now, it's been a while now, but if you remember some of the things that stood out to you about how we worked together, that you liked, some of the things that you remembered.
Well, we did the one-on-one. So you did have the group coaching, which was
Yeah.
great. You got the Facebook group, which I think is actually really valuable too, because you can get in there and you can kind of see, different guys have questions, and you might not have that question today, but you might have that 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And so I like how guys post stuff in there, and they'll post, chats of people they're talking to, and hey, how do I respond to this? I think that's great content. Really valuable for once you're in the game and doing it. A little bit different when you're coming into the approach, because for me, this is all new to me, right? Because again, I've been very, very hyper focused on my career and not very focused on that side of my life. So you just helped me in doing the one-on-ones, and hey, here's how you talk. This should be a little bit, tone this piece down, and it's these soft, subtle changes. These aren't like groundbreaking things, but it's making just a little bit of a pivot, 3 degrees here, 4 degrees here, 8 degrees over here, to get you to the right spot. It's not radical change, but it's minor adjustments, and probably what most people are already doing. But some of those minor changes make all the difference, because you can come off as a douchebag, you can turn somebody off. And this is just basic interpersonal communication stuff. It was like talking to you once a week was, like doing a college course, but getting, a master's degree in the matter of, what was it, 3 months or 6 months? I don't even remember now, but whatever it was, but it was extremely valuable. And then I'm able to bring in real world experience, what I was experiencing at that point, talk about it. And then, hey, I would handle this slightly differently. I do this, and I make those little adjustments, and it completely worked. And, you have the advantage as a coach. You're not just talking to me, you're talking to tons of guys out there. So you're seeing stuff that's working today, and you have purview over all these different people. And that's one of the huge values of coaching, is that you're not just talking to me. You're not just talking to, whoever, 1 or 2 people. You're talking to tons of people. Plus you have you've got your Facebook group, and then you guys do calls still, I assume, and all that stuff too. So, and you've got your online education as well. So it's all that stuff, but you're seeing real world situations, and you're being able to help people respond to those. And then you're able to bring that information to a call. It's just so much experience. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. So how are things going now with your better half?
Yeah. So fast forward to today, today in December, 30 days ago, I got engaged, and I think it's been a month now. So I got engaged a month ago, and getting married this July.
Awesome. Wow. Where are you guys getting married?
We're going to get married in Las Vegas. We're renting out Liberace's mansion for the weekend, and
Awesome.
we're doing it at the Liberace mansion. So that should be amazing.
Amazing. Fuck yeah. So happy. So if somebody's thinking about getting help, maybe hiring us as coaches, and somebody has a bit of a hesitation, somebody says, I'm not sure, if they have some hesitation, what would you say to somebody like that who might have some internal resistance left? Whether, is it really the right thing? Is it really going to work for me? Am I going to be able to put it into practice?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, do you value your time? I mean, are you an idiot and you want to work at McDonald's and make $15 an hour? You don't value your time, or do you take it, advice from somebody that is accomplished and has a lot of money, and telling you, not only does it work, I mean, obviously it works, otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you, right? So, so I'm on this and I'm telling you, yeah, of course it works, but more importantly, it's a time value of money, right? And so the advantages, which I just spoke about, that you bring to the table, okay, that other people don't, in the way that you conduct your business and you're interacting with all these different people, is, 1 second, probably have to cut that out. Okay. But the way that you're able to bring that, to the table is invaluable, because again, you're able to see all these different scenarios from all these different people and then bring that to the table for one person. So there's all this experience that you're getting. It's not just me, and it's not just, one guy you're talking to, but there's a lot of different experiences there.
Yeah, it's really true. As it's my own personal experience, and every week you see so many micro situations, and then you see patterns. And same in real estate. I'm sure when you got into it, it's something that I know almost nothing about, but it's pattern recognition. Then you start utilizing the patterns, and at some point you start generating your own patterns. But it's in the beginning, it's like if I don't even see the patterns, that's why most people struggle with dating so much, because it's this gray cloud. How do I even start? How do I even get dates? How do I even differentiate the right ones from the wrong ones? Online dating, in person, and then as you were saying, these 3% shift here, 4% shift here, but then it's just patterns over and over again, because it's not so much that there was anything wrong with you. Like, you're an amazing guy and you've always been. You didn't change anything about who you are as a person. It's just these slight tweaks in communication and our approach to it that make a really, really big difference.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example with that. So, perfect example. I do these cigar nights. Okay. And it's called thecigarnight.com. Okay. And so guys come from all over the country, and I do 4 to 6 of them a year. I do it with a partner, a friend, one of my very good friends, and he's a big social media influencer. So this thing draws a big audience, right? And we release the tickets at different points throughout the year on the website. And we allow women to come to the events for free, but guys pay to go. And again, these are big deals. They fly in from all over the country, but we do them in different locations. And so the woman that I met, and this also dovetails with the way that you teach and what we were just talking about, is there's different techniques that work better for one guy that might not work better for this guy, right? Mm. And so I do better. I'm not like an in the club kind of guy. Where you're in a big, huge, loud club with, the music and all that kind of stuff. Now that works really well for some people. It doesn't work for me. Yeah. But you're able to see all these different guys doing different things. And so, as a coach or as a life coach, you can say, hey, this kind of technique might not work great for your personality, but this will. And I've got guys that I'm working with right now where this works better than, a cold approach, in, a shopping mall on a Saturday afternoon. That might work great for some guys. It might not work as well for others. The club might work great for some guys, not for others. For me, I have a more relaxed, persona, and I'm really good talking and in person, right? But I'm not great in a loud club, where I've got, a black jacket on with, nothing underneath it, just my 6-pack abs, right? Because so, but one of the techniques, so going back to, where I was, so I had an event in Phoenix, Arizona, and this is in July of 22. Okay. And so I'm single at the time, and we limit our events to 40, 45 people. Rent out a cigar lounge. We do our event. And this particular one in Phoenix, we'd been having people ask us to do one in Phoenix for a couple years. And so we finally went to Phoenix, did the event. We released the tickets. It sold out immediately. And we only had like 3 women that were able to procure tickets to it before it was sold out. So 2 of the women didn't show up. Now, as an example, the kind of guys that show up to these events are usually very high net worth, really got their shit together, social media influencers. We've had, famous Hollywood actors. We've got a lot of filmmakers, writers, a lot of creative types, a lot of alpha types, that come to our events. Tristan and Andrew Tate, Andrew, who's really famous right now, he's come to 2 of our cigar nights. And, so those, but we get all spectrum of people that come to these events. This particular event, you got a room filled with 44 people. Turns out 44 men and 1 woman. Okay. And so this gal walks in, and first off, you can just tell she's uncomfortable because she's the only woman there. The other 2 of the women that had procured tickets couldn't come or didn't come for whatever reason, right? So it's ultra rare for us. Usually it's like, 25, 30% women. But this one turns out it's one woman. Now, this really goes to talking about your coaching. And I really thought about you when I was in this event because, and I bring this up all the time, both to my fiance and to my friends. You've got 44 guys in there. Okay. And these are, again, most of the guys would not, I would say 90% of them would describe themselves as alpha males. Okay. Probably out of those 44 guys, at least 10 of them had six-pack abs. Okay. And I would say out of those 44, probably 35 of them are multimillionaires. Okay. And at least half, if not more, 50, 60% are single. And maybe 20 or 30% are willing to cheat on their wife. Okay. No judgment. Okay. So all these guys are in there. She walks in and literally is standing there by herself. Nobody's talking to her in the whole room. I mean, I felt like it was like, the 6th grade dance and they put the girls on one side and the boys on the other. And she's the only one. She's literally there by herself. Nobody's talking to her. And then she goes over, she makes a drink. Maybe there's a guy by the bar and he's like, oh, hey, okay, how's it going? So I thought she was adorable, cute, everything. But, it's like, okay. So I go over, start talking to her, and we talk a little bit, and there's like a really great vibe. And then, I go and I talk to a couple other guys, and I see her over there sitting in a chair on her phone with 44 guys in this cigar lounge. And she's sitting in one of these giant, if you've ever been in a cigar lounge, they have these giant brown leather chairs in all the cigar lounges. She's literally sitting there in a chair on her phone, not talking to anyone, with a empty chair next to her. I'm just like, what planet are we on? You know what I mean? And these are the same guys that get on there and bitch, there's no good women in the world, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, there's one right there.
It's amazing. So, because of working with you and because of the coaching and stuff, I felt so comfortable talking to women at that point. And I will tell you that like a year and a half prior to that, I was more timid about approaching or talking to women. I just go right over, I sit down next to her and we start talking. And, there's a nice vibe. She's kind of into astrology. She starts asking me some stuff about that. And I did a complete David technique, which I never, and this literally is one of those things where I never would have done this if I didn't work with you. And I think it made all the difference that evening. So it was about 45 minutes before the end of the event. Okay. And she's sitting next to me. We're talking. I put my hand on top of her hands and I say, hey, I'm going to walk outside and get some fresh air. Why don't you come with me? And I stand up. Don't really, it's more like not a command, but it's a polite, directive.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. And so we walk outside and we're walking around and she's like, oh, there's this building over here. And there's this building. We walk down the street a little bit. Oh, there's this building. And we're walking back and I go to kiss her and she pulls away. She's like, oh my gosh, whoa, what's going on here? And then I used one of your lines. I'm like, well, what? You never kissed an Irish guy before? And she says, oh, well, actually, I did know this one guy. He had black hair and, he was like called a Black Irish or something. And so I pulled her in, gave her a kiss. And then we ended up, kissing for maybe a minute outside of the cigar lounge. We walk back inside. And at this point, which I know you've talked about before, but if you do that at an event, she's not going to go and now immediately go talk to another guy. She's going to be focused on you because of what just happened, right? So we walk in, we go separate ways, and I'm over here talking to people, but I can feel her watching me. And then as we're walking out, I say to her, hey, the casino across the street, we're all going to the bar there. Not all of us, but there's like 8 of us going back to the bar. Why don't you come with us? Here's my cell phone number. Drive over there, meet us there. And she does. And so the rest is history. And we started dating. I started flying her out. She lives in Phoenix. I lived in Napa Valley, California. So I start flying her out. I do a lot of different, things go, not just the cigar nights, but I do different events and charity stuff and, meet up with friends and stuff. So I started flying her out to meet with me, or meet me wherever I was kind of thing. And we dated that way for August through December. And I asked her, hey, you should move to Napa Valley. And so it's been a year. She's lived here for a year, and that's been really, really good. And so, at basically the 1 year mark, I asked her to marry me. I'm blessed. She said yes. Amazing. And we're getting married in July. So literally some of those, and I mean, you can look back and say, well, Mike, it was kismet. It would have happened. It was serendipitous. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. My feeling is if I didn't have those little tiny 2-3% changes, those little tiny pivots of just putting a hand on and saying, hey, I'm going to go outside and get some fresh air, because I'll tell you, I've never done that. I've never walked out of one of my own events ever the entire time I was doing those, except that one time.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah. It's these little breaking points. And first of all, that's a fucking amazing story. Really awesome. And I remember we talked about it then. I remember very vividly. We broke it down and we navigated in the beginning. But people don't realize there's so many little breaking points where there's an opportunity right here. She wouldn't have suggested that in a million years. She would have said, oh, would you like to go outside and kiss me perhaps? No, that's our fucking job. And then we need to navigate it. Then she pulls back. And then we don't want to create any pressure, but there still has to be like there has to be this playfulness still. Yes, a little bit of like gentle, loving insistence. These little breaking points that people aren't aware of. And that's what fucks them up. Right? So many men, they don't set these boundaries, they don't build the base of the relationship properly in the beginning, and then they wonder why it just breaks down later, or while she starts disrespecting them, why she starts cheating. Well, it's because she never acted like a man to begin with.
Right. So anyway, I just got to say thank you, because I really do believe it made a difference. And I think it was, obviously my happiness is worth way more than what I paid you. So, I do very much appreciate, working with you. And I'm glad that we reconnected on Instagram. I think you had stumbled across the post that I had that said,
I saw that.
And you're like, holy shit, he got engaged. It does work. So, yeah.
No, I was so happy. Thank you so much. No, it was definitely extremely enjoyable. And I saw that post when you made it about the engagement. I was like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. I was really happy to see that.
Yeah. Hey, baby, come here and say hi to. I'm on this call right now. Here, she'll say hi. So this is Nina.
Hi, the sun's right in my eyes. Wait, can you see me? Oh.
No.
Hi.
Hi, Nina. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Let's see.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So she's a real live person too.
I am real. Yeah. It's not
Yes.
a made up.
Not an AI robot.
Exactly. So.
Awesome, man. No, man. Thank you so much. If you wanted, then I'll stop the recording. Then we can talk off camera for a second.
Yeah.